My parents handed my brother the keys to Grandma's house on a Sunday afternoon in September. $340,000 in real estate, 4 bedrooms, a wraparound porch, the house I'd spent every summer of my childhood in. They gave it to him during a family barbecue in the backyard of that very house, while I stood by the grill flipping burgers. My mother made a little speech about how Marcus was starting a family and needed the space, about how Grandma would have wanted him to have it. Everyone clapped. My brother's wife cried. My father handed me a cardboard box from the garage. "Your grandmother wanted you to have these," he said. "Old photos, some letters, sentimental stuff." I looked at the box, looked at the keys in my brother's hand, and I smiled, thanked them, went back to flipping burgers. Because I already knew something they didn't. 3 weeks earlier, I'd found the original deed at the bottom of that same box when I was helping clean out Grandma's things. And according to that deed, signed and notarized in 1987, the house didn't belong to my parents at all. Grandma had left it directly to me. 8 years later, my brother called me from that house, the one he thought he owned, asking if I'd heard from the lawyer. His voice was shaking. "They're saying there's a problem with the title. Something about the original deed. Do you know anything about this?" I was sitting in my home office looking at the framed photo of Grandma on my desk, the one I'd taken from that cardboard box all those years ago. "Yeah," I said. "I know everything about it." There was a long silence. "What does that mean?" he asked. "It means you should call Mom and Dad. You're all going to want to hear this together." I hung up, poured myself a cup of coffee, and waited for my phone to start ringing. Let me take you back, because this story isn't about a house. It's about being the child who was always an afterthought, the one who showed up and got overlooked, the one who loved the hardest and received the least. If you've ever watched your family divide an inheritance and pretend you didn't exist, if you've ever been handed scraps while your sibling got the feast, you already know this story isn't about real estate. It's about finally having proof that you were worth something to the person who mattered most. Marcus was 2 years older than me. Growing up, he was the firstborn son, the one who carried the family name, the one my father coached in Little League and took fishing every summer. I was the daughter who came second. Not unwanted exactly, just unnecessary. My parents had the son they'd always dreamed of. I was the bonus they hadn't planned for. They never said it out loud, but I felt it in 1,000 small ways. The way my father's eyes lit up when Marcus walked into a room. The way my mother saved the best cuts of meat for his plate. The way every family photo seemed to center on him while I stood slightly off to the side, smiling anyway. When I was 7, my father built Marcus a treehouse in the backyard. 3 weekends of father-son bonding. I asked for a playhouse. My mother said there wasn't room. When I was 9, they drove Marcus 6 hours to baseball camp and stayed overnight in a hotel. The same summer, they forgot to sign me up for art camp. Registration closed before they remembered. When I was 12, Marcus got a new Schwinn bicycle for his birthday, $300 with 21 gears. 2 months later, for my birthday, I got his old bike with spray paint and new grips. My mother said it was practically new, but Grandma Ruth saw me. My father's mother lived alone in that big house on Maple Street, the one with the wraparound porch and the kitchen that always smelled like cinnamon. I spent every summer there from age 6 until she got too sick. While Marcus was at baseball camp, I was with Grandma. We baked pies together, and she told me stories about growing up during the Depression. She taught me to garden and play canasta. She told me I was special. Not special like parents tell every child. Special like she meant it. "You remind me of myself," she said once when I was 14. We were on the porch swing watching the sunset. "You're the quiet one. People underestimate quiet. They think it means weak. But quiet is just strength that hasn't needed to speak yet." I didn't fully understand then. I do now. Grandma got sick my junior year of high school. Pancreatic cancer. I visited every weekend, driving an hour each way in my beat-up Honda, the one I'd bought myself because my parents gave their old car to Marcus. I'd sit with her for hours, holding her hand, reading to her. Marcus came twice the whole time she was sick. Once to show off his girlfriend. Once for Christmas because our parents made him. She died in March of my senior year. I was holding her hand when she went. My parents were in the cafeteria getting coffee. Her last words to me were, "It's all taken care of, sweetheart. You'll understand soon." I kissed her forehead and watched her go and felt something crack inside me but not break. The funeral was packed. My father gave the eulogy about what a wonderful mother she'd been. He didn't mention my summers with her. Those were mine. After the funeral came the will reading. We gathered in the lawyer's office while Mr. Patterson read through the document. Most of it was standard. Then he reached the house. The residence at 247 Maple Street is to be held in trust until my granddaughter Melissa reaches the age of 25, at which point it shall be transferred to her in recognition of her companionship and care during my final years. Silence. My mother went white. My father's jaw tightened. Marcus looked confused. "That can't be right," my mother said. "Ruth told us the house would go to the family." Mr. Patterson looked at her over his glasses. "The document is quite clear. The house goes to Melissa when she turns 25. I sat in shock. Grandma had never told me directly. But suddenly her last words made sense. It's all taken care of. She'd seen that I was invisible in my own family, and she'd made sure that in death, I'd finally be seen. The drive home was silent. When we got home, my mother exploded. "This is ridiculous. That house should go to Marcus. He's starting a life. We're going to contest this." I looked at her. Contest it how? Grandma was of sound mind. The will is airtight. "There has to be a way," she insisted. She knew exactly what she was doing, I said quietly. She knew Marcus visited her twice in 2 years while I was there every weekend. She knew you forgot my birthday 3 years in a row, but threw Marcus parties every year. She knew I was invisible, and she made sure that for once, I'd be visible. My mother's face went red. "We love you both equally." "No," I said. "You don't. But Grandma did." I was 17. 8 years until I turned 25. I tried not to think about it. Went to college, got a degree in accounting, started working at a firm. My relationship with my parents became surface level. They never mentioned the house. Neither did I. Marcus got engaged at 24 to Jennifer, who had opinions about everything. They wanted a house. My parents started dropping hints about Maple Street. I reminded them it was waiting for me. The barbecue happened 6 months before my 25th birthday. My parents called it a celebration for Marcus and Jennifer's engagement. I drove 3 hours because family gatherings were non-negotiable. I was at the grill when it happened. My mother made a speech about Marcus and Jennifer. Then my father handed my brother a set of keys. "We've decided to give you Grandma's house. We've talked to a lawyer and we're transferring our interest to you." I stood holding a spatula while everyone celebrated. Jennifer was crying about raising children there. My parents looked satisfied. They'd spent 8 years finding loopholes. They thought they'd won. My father handed me a cardboard box. Old photos and letters. Sentimental stuff. I smiled, thanked them, went back to the grill. I didn't mention the deed I'd found 3 weeks earlier. The original trust document from 1987 that named me as sole beneficiary. Grandma was smarter than they knew. She'd grown up during the Depression, learned to plan for everything. She knew her son would try to give the house to Marcus, so she created 2 layers of protection. The will was the public layer they thought they could manipulate. The trust was the private layer, created in 1987, ironclad, with a copy held by a different attorney who had instructions to contact me directly on my 25th birthday. I'd found the deed because I was the one who cared about Grandma's things. While my family divided furniture, I was in the attic going through photos and letters. The deed was in a manila envelope at the bottom of a box marked Melissa Private. I took it to a lawyer. He confirmed the trust superseded the will. My parents never owned the house at all. I waited. Let them have their celebration. Let Marcus and Jennifer move in and start renovating. Grandma had taught me about patience, about quiet strength. My 25th birthday came on a Tuesday. Mr. Hendricks, Grandma's trust attorney, called to confirm I was now the legal owner of 247 Maple Street. I looked at Grandma's photo on my desk. You really did think of everything. Then I called my own attorney. The letter arrived at Maple Street 3 days later. Marcus called panicking about a title dispute. You should call Mom and Dad, I said. Get everyone together. I'll explain everything. They came to my apartment that Saturday. All 4 of them, my parents looking worried, Marcus looking angry, Jennifer looking like she'd been crying. I sat them down in my living room, offered them coffee they didn't drink, and put the manila envelope on the table. What is this? My father asked. This is the original deed to Grandma's house, I said. From 1987. She created a trust that named me as the sole beneficiary. The house was never part of her estate. It was never yours to give away. It's been mine since the day I turned 25. The silence was absolute. I watched them process it. My mother's face went pale, then red. My father's jaw worked, but no sound came out. Marcus looked at his wife, then at my parents, then at me. That's not possible, my mother said finally. We've owned that house for 8 years. You've maintained it for 8 years, I corrected. There's a difference. Grandma set it up this way because she knew you'd try to give it to Marcus. She knew you'd find a way to cut me out. So she made sure you couldn't. This is fraud, my father said. His voice was tight with anger. You've committed fraud. I haven't committed anything, I said. Grandma created this trust in 1987. I didn't even know about it until I found the deed 3 weeks before your barbecue. The same barbecue where you gave Marcus keys to a house you didn't own. You knew, Marcus said. You knew at the barbecue, and you didn't say anything. I knew at the barbecue, I agreed. And I watched you all celebrate giving away something that wasn't yours to give. I wanted to see if anyone would think twice. If anyone would ask if this was right. If anyone would consider that Grandma might have had a reason for leaving the house to me. You watched us move in, Jennifer said. Her voice was cold. We've spent $50,000 on renovations. You spent $50,000 on a house you didn't own, I said. That was your choice. You didn't ask me. You didn't consult the deed. You just assumed. My mother started crying. The manipulative kind. The kind meant to make me feel guilty. How could you do this to your brother? To your family? After everything we've done for you? I looked at her. Really looked. What have you done for me? Gave Marcus a tree house and told me there wasn't room for a playhouse. Sent him to baseball camp and forgot to sign me up for art camp. Gave him a new bike and gave me his old one with spray paint on it. Threw him surprise parties and forgot my birthday 3 years in a row. And when Grandma died, when she left me the one thing that mattered, you spent 8 years trying to take that away too. We treated you the same, my father said, but his voice had lost its conviction. You didn't, I said. And the worst part is, you don't even see it. You genuinely believe you loved us equally because you never bothered to keep track of what you gave each of us. But Grandma kept track. Grandma, we've made it our home. You can stay as tenants, I said. I'll draw up a lease agreement. Market rate is about $2,200 a month for a house that size in that neighborhood. Or you can leave, and I'll sell it. Either way, the house is mine. You'd charge your own brother rent? My mother asked, horrified like I'd suggested something obscene. You gave my brother a house that belonged to me, I said. A house worth $340,000. A house I spent every summer of my childhood in. A house that Grandma specifically left to me because I was the only one who showed up for her when she was dying. And you're surprised that I'd charge rent? My father tried a different approach. Let's be reasonable about this. The house has been in the family for generations. We should keep it in the family. What if we work out some kind of arrangement? We buy you out, give you fair market value. Marcus keeps the house, you get the money, everyone wins. I considered this. It was a reasonable offer, on the surface. But I thought about all those summers on the porch swing, all those pies we'd baked together, all those conversations about being quiet and strong and waiting for the right moment to speak. No, I said, the house isn't for sale. Then what do you want? My mother asked. What's the point of all this? The point, I said, is that Grandma wanted me to have it. Not because it's valuable, because it's hers. Because those summers meant as much to her as they did to me. Because she wanted me to have a place that was mine, really mine, that nobody could take away or minimize or give to someone they loved more. Jennifer whispered something to Marcus. He shook his head. She whispered again, more urgently. Finally, he turned to me. What if we pay rent for a year? Give us time to find somewhere else. We'll be out by next September. I looked at my brother. In his face, I could see the fear of displacement, the frustration of not getting his way, but also, underneath, something that might have been the beginning of understanding. 1 year, I said. $1,800 a month, below market because you're family. After that, you're out. He nodded. Didn't thank me, but nodded. My parents left without saying goodbye. My mother was still crying, my father still angry. Marcus and Jennifer left after signing a handwritten agreement I'd drafted. The apartment felt quiet after they were gone. My parents called twice, both times to tell me how disappointed they were, how selfish I was, how I'd destroyed the family. Marcus and Jennifer paid rent on time but didn't speak to me otherwise. Extended family heard various versions of the story. Some sided with my parents, said I should have let Marcus keep the house for the sake of peace. Others, including my aunt on my mother's side, called me privately to say she understood. I saw how they treated you, she said. We all saw. Your grandmother saw too. She told me once that she was worried about you, that she wanted to make sure you had something that was just yours. I think she'd be proud of you. Marcus and Jennifer moved out after 11 months. Found a townhouse across town, smaller but theirs. The day they left, Marcus came by to drop off the keys, stood in my doorway for a long moment, like he wanted to say something. Finally he said, I didn't know. About the summers, about how much she meant to you. I thought you just visited out of obligation. I know, I said. That's the problem. You never asked. He left. I closed the door. And for the first time in years I cried, not for what I'd lost, but for what I'd never had. A brother who saw me, parents who valued me, a family that noticed I was there. I moved into Grandma's house that fall. Restored the rose garden, learned to bake her cinnamon apple pie from the recipe card she'd left in the kitchen drawer. Some nights I sit on the porch swing and watch the sunset, just like we used to. I can almost hear her voice. You remind me of myself, the quiet one. People underestimate quiet. but quiet is just strength that hasn't needed to speak yet. My parents and I have a minimal relationship now. Holiday cards, the occasional text. They've never apologized, and I've stopped expecting them to. Marcus and I are cordial. We text sometimes, surface-level stuff about weather and work. He's never acknowledged that our parents treated us differently, and I've accepted that he probably never will. Some people can't see their own privilege, even when it's spelled out for them. But I have the house. I have Grandma's recipes and her photo albums and her stories, the ones I wrote down in a journal so I'd never forget. I have proof that someone in my family saw me, loved me, planned for my future when no one else bothered. I have the deed in a frame on my wall, right next to the photo of us on the porch swing, summer of my 14th year, both of us smiling at the camera like we had a secret. We did have a secret. It just took me 25 years to find it. If you've ever been the overlooked child who loved the hardest and received the least, this story is for you. If you've ever been handed scraps while your sibling got the inheritance, this story is for you. If you've ever lost someone who truly saw you and wondered if anyone would ever see you again, this story is for you. You deserve more than a cardboard box of memories. You deserve to be seen, to be valued, to be chosen. And sometimes the people who love us most find ways to choose us even after they're gone. Tell me in the comments, have you ever discovered something that changed your family's story? Did you fight for what was rightfully yours, or did you let it go for the sake of peace? I read every story. And if you want more stories about people who found proof they mattered, subscribe. Sometimes the best inheritance isn't money or property. It's knowing that someone loved you enough to plan for your future. Everything else is just real estate.